And then, we're debating whether he actually is officially won with the majority or they're not finished.
Okay, we are live now. So let me umfangen.
What he's making.
97% of the votes counted. Likud, the Likud bloc has 65 seats.
Halfway though. Halfway though.
9 lives.
Yeah. So yesterday we learned that if someone hears somebody else being masker shem shemayim levatala, it's such a terrible thing because it leads to anias. You see, thank you very much, Marty. You see from here, by the way, that the Gemara holds that the worst klola is anias. Only choshev kameis and suma choshev kameis, but the worst klola the Gemara considers is anias. And therefore, it's incumbent on you to put him into cherem. And if you don't put him into cherem, then you deserve to be put into cherem. The Ran also tells us that the Gemara says later on, Rabbi Gidol Amar Rav said that Talmud Chacham is midnade la'atzmoi and mefer la'atzmoi. So the Ran says with Farish that I'm sorry. No, the Ran says with Farish that's only. The Ran says with Farish that that's only if it's not a serious offense. It's he's only doing it like in the case of the Gemara to show respect to the person that he was putting into cherem. Then he can take himself out of cherem. But could be if it's a real cherem, could be that's not the case. We also had with the Kibeger's kasha that Moti had a kasha on, right? The Gemara said from the fact that Rav Huna said, the fact that Rav Huna put this woman into cherem right away, the Gemara says Shema Mina Klas, Shema Mina that Hashemei Askar Hashem Pichaveiroi Choich L'Nadoisoi, Shema Mina Nidal B'Fanav Ein Matir Nidal B'Fanav. That's why Rav Huna had to take off the cherem right away. And Shema Mina Ein Benidil Lafar V'Leklum. You can be made for as soon as there's a needle. Correct, Rabbi Kiva Eger. Why don't you see the fourth thing that if you don't put them into cherem right away, then you also go into cherem? But we didn't understand the kasha because Moti asked, how do you see anything about that? So I don't know the teretz. Well, I'm hoping it'll come out. Eventually we'll figure it out because Rabbi Kiva Eger, before he asked the kasha, he's been saying different gemaras, including the Kamon Dafches. So that's what we're learning today. So we'll see what happens. Oh, no problem. The Amarav Gidol, Amarav, going on to Chesam and Aleph. Today's an extremely important day because there's a very important Ran, a Ran that's mamish, one of the top 10 Rans, as it would be called. And we're also learning how far the Chiyuv of Limud HaTorah goes. Or what's the bare minimum to cross the threshold to be Yosy. So Zok to Gemara, Minayin Shinishboyin Lakayim Mitzvah. Rav Gidol Marav said, how do you know that you could swear to be Mekayim Mitzvah? Shenemar, it says in the pasuk, this is in Cookie Test, right? By the Nuns, Nishbati Vakayema Lishmar Mishbetei Tzidkecha. I swore and I was Mekayim your Mishbatim.
What's the shalom?
We're going to see we're going to see the Shaila could be I ain't a the Shaila could be maybe it's a good thing to do to be Mizarij yourself. How could you say it's good to make a shua? The shua wouldn't even be chal because you're mushba b'oimid mahar Sinai, which in and of itself is a very big shaila. Where is the shua mahar Sinai? There was a shua mahar Sinai. Is it Nasav and Nishma? Nasav and Nishma was God said before Sinai. So there's a whole shaila of what that mushba b'oimid is. El hakamash malom the shari leila inish l'zeruzanash. It's mutter for a person to be mizarish himself. So there are those who learn that ein echanami could be the shvu is not chal, but it's a good thing to swear to be mizarish yourself to do mitzvahs. But the Ran has a different approach.
The
Ran that if it's not chal, it's not mizarish. I don't know because it could be we're going to soon see that could be that an nisr chal lisser that mushba doesn't work. Maybe it won't give you a chi of carbon if you violate your shvuah, but maybe a shvuah would still have validity, and that's what we're going to see in the Ran. Exactly your question. Mistavrli Zakti Ran.
This is the problem with
Let's see the Ran. The Ran will explain everything. Mistavrli, I think this is Pshat, Dr. Ran. Mistavrli probably is you could take it to the bank, probably if the Ran says it. Oh, by the way, today is the Yortzeit of Rabbeinu Yoina. Rabbeinu Yoina was the Rebbe of the Rashba, and he was the Rebbe of the Rambam, but he also wrote very strongly against the Rambam, or the Vuchim. And when the Goyim burnt the Rambam in front of the Louvre, Rabbeinu Yoina held that was a Simon Hashemayim, that he was too stark and he didn't do the right thing by being right of the Rambam. And that's what caused him to write the Shara Tshuva, because he wanted to do Tshuva on that he was right of the Rambam. And that's when the Rabbeinu Yoina wrote Shara Tshuva. So the Rabbeinu, so who said, I think, Reb Chaim Volozhiner said, every person, every Mussar Sefer, is geared to a certain type. So not everybody is geared to learn every Mussar Sefer. But the Shara Tshuva Rabbeinu Yoina is for everybody. That works for everybody. That's what Reb Chaim Volozhiner once said. Okay, so let's see the Gemara weiter. And then it also happens to be that Rabbeinu Yoina was a first cousin. He was a first cousin to another one of the big Rishonim. Was it the Kubi the Rabbeinu Yoina was a first cousin to the Rashba or a first cousin to the Rambam? I think Kubi first cousin to the Rambam. They were Meshadach, they're Eniklach married. So two second cousins married each other. They ended up being Chatanim. And in Mistavrili, the Hachi Perusha. This is Pshat in the Gemara. The Mikar Kol Kadaitach, at first the Gemara assumed the Rav Gidel also la Sheminon. Rav Gidel is coming to tell you a halacha in Hilchas Shvuah. Shvuah chala al dvar mitzvah. His dvar harashus. Just like you could make a shvuah on the dvar harashus, I can make a shvuah that I'm going to eat this keeper. So too, I can make a shvuah that I'm going to shake lulav today. And the Gemara thought that the raya is from the pasuk midichsiv nishbati v'akayema. The pasuks bring a raya that in fact the neder or the shvuah is niskayim, even though you swore to be mekayim mitzvah. Umishum hachi parach. And that's why the Gemara asked, "Valai mushba v'ayimid mehar Sinai, valai mushba v'ayimidu da moichichen beperek shavuah shtayim basar." We brought a riot in perek shavuah shtayim basar because there's two perek shavuah shtayims in shavuos. The hadich siv lahara oy lahetiv. We know that the lahara lahetiv is what's described in the pasuk that discusses the shavuah. You made a shavuah lahara lahetiv. We learn from there that b'davar harashos ksiv kra v'lo b'dvar mitzvah. So the Gemara is asking, "V'lai mushba v'ayimid mehar Sinai." We know in Shavuos the halacha is you could only swear on a dvar harashos. So how could you, Rav Gidel, say that you could swear l'kayim is a mitzvah? V'chitem, and if you want to argue and say hanimidi l'karban, when do we say that you cannot make a shvuah or a shvuah only works b'davar harashos? That's only to be mechayiv you a carbon. The lahara ilahetiv gabi carbon ksiva. When the Torah says lahara ilahetiv, meaning rishus, that pasuk is talking about the chi of carbon. Avol bal yachil, the issue bal yachil devara is maybe much broader than just a limited set of cases where it's a davar rishus. Maybe bal yachil ika afilu b'dvar mitzvah. Maybe you have a bal yachil even with a dvar mitzvah. Zok to Gemara. So the pasuk there is referring to the carbon shvuah. Yeah. So the question is, how could you say, Dr. Gemara, how could you, Rav Gidel, say that Nishbay L'chaim is a mitzvah? We learned the Kral Harlight, it doesn't work. So if the whole vart is that you're saying that there's a lo yachel, but there's no chi of carbon, and that's what you're trying to say, well, then why did you bring a raya from the pasuk of Nishbati Vakayema? Haki Haval Meimer. What Rav Gidel should have said, if the chiddush that Rav Gidel is trying to tell us is that even though there's no chi of shua, but there's still a bal yachel, then this is what he should have said. The nehid amita mitzvah mikarbon, even though we were mamayit a neder l'kayim is a mitzvah from being mechayiv you a carbon if you're not mechayiv it lo yamiti mi bal yachel. It's not memayit you from the isha bal yachel k'dichazin and hasam the perek shvuah shtayim basra. The mills of the lesser balavahain. It's not balavahain. Inami balaba. the mitami carbon milhar lahativ, v'lai mitami malchus. So there's other things that in the Gemara Shavuos, we're mamai from lahar lahativ. It has to be something that could be in the future, not only in the past. It has to be good or bad. There's several rules of how a Shavuot has to be structured and what type of Shavuot it is in order to be mechayiv with the carbon. But that's all Rav Gidol should have said. If that's the purpose of his member, that a Shavuot is chal, then that's what he should have said. He didn't need the nishbati v'akayema for that. So it cannot be that that's Rav Gidol's intention. It cannot be that's what he's trying to tell us. So the Gemara's answer is, Rav Gidol is telling you an additional chiddush. The shari l'zruz and abshe. You might think it's not a good idea to make such a Shavuot. From the Bati Bakayim, you see from Dabar Melech that it's a good thing to do. Kloimer, Vadai lo yitzrich haikra loimer sheichala lagabe bal yachel nishbati Bakayim is not coming to tell me that the Shavuot is chal. Elahachika amar minayin shedover haganu lishava l'kaim mitzvah. How do you know that it's a good practice to swear to be mekayim a mitzvah? Even Erlich people who normally don't want to make Shavuos, how do you know that for such a thing a Shavuot is good? Nishboin him kach. Now that Rav Gidol said, "Shenemer nishbati v'kayema kloimer shari david haya oisakei." So all Rav Gidol is trying to tell you is sometimes it's good to make a Shavuot. When is that? When you're being mizarish yourself with mitzvahs. You just have to be careful how you make such Shavuos, because the Cheshut Yechemer brings an interesting childhood. A guy was misrashal in his learning, and he was learning the Gemara in Nedarm at the time, and he saw this Gemara, and he said, "That's it. I'm making a neder for the next 100 days. Every single day, I'm going to learn a half hour of Maseches Nedarm." And what happened was he didn't chap that he was within 100 days of Tisha B'av. So what's he going to do about Tisha B'av? So he had a whole shiloh, but he's supposed to do this. Does he have to be matched to the neder? Because on Tisha B'av you can't learn Nedarm. There's no Tisha B'av Gemaras in Nedarm. Yeah? So maybe he didn't ask the Rav Chavar this shiloh for learning on Tisha B'av. Okay, about it.
Isn't that a D'Rabbanan? Or not
What
to
are
learn, not to learn on Tisha B'av?
It could be.
You know, how bad of an Avera could it be if you learn on Tisha B'av?
I don't know. Like Moti, the Rav Chavar said, "I'll take my chances.
I'll
roll the dice."
Right.
Ik ben boven beroepsnaam ik de stier dan raak ik met zelfs ik ben nettel dat raak ik met hem gezegd laat hem naar cijfer. So you asked them in Polen in Galicia in Schweden dat dagen so ich bin der okay jeder hat gehalten nettel in Schweden in South Malaysia dat jeder
It wasn't considered nittel Torah.
yeah so you asked them no he said ich will den gehenden of nettel. So
It's a good answer.
nettel kan ik den schwazen. Aber der Geheime von Malik al-Devri Chachomem, das kann ich da sagen. Ich habe das gesagt. Das same thing, kein Stem mit der Albichava, nicht haben gewähnt, es geht hier nicht.
Okay, so Dr. Gemara, Valai Mushba, Va'omed, Mer Sinai. I believe that's on the next Gemara. So Dr. Gemara Vaitim. Dr. Gemara, Va'amar Rav Gidol Marav. Now Rav Gidol Marav said a second Allah. So let's get this straight. The first halacha Rav Gidol said was trying to teach us that it's a good practice, it's appropriate to make a neder that you should be mekayim a mitzvah. So what happens if someone said, I'm going to get up and I'm going to learn this parak of Mishnah. So this parak of Gemara. Or Eshna Masechta Zu, I'm going to learn this Masechta. Neder Godol Nodar Elokei Yisrael. This is a neder. It has the strength of a neder. And Neder Godol sounds like it's a good thing. Frek the Gemara. I valay mushba v'oimeru. Isn't the mushba v'oimeru? How is it called? Then shvua cholal shvua. My kamash malon. Are you going to tell me that filus ruza ba'alma, that the chiddush is that it's a good thing to do? Hani Rav Gidol kamaita. Rav Gidol has already told us that. So here he must be telling us a new halacha. Al kamash malon And this is how you saw this stick of Gemara. Kivan, just to be yoyed the mitzvah of Talmud Torah, Kivan the Iboi Potter Nafshe B'Kriya Shema Shachris V'Arvis, since to be yoyed the bare minimum chiv of Talmud Torah is all you have to do is say Kriya Shema Shachris V'Arvis. You don't have to do more than that. Mishum Hachi Chayil Shu Alei. Therefore, the shul is chayil because he's adding to the base chiv Talmud Torah. You can see the storm coming.
But he has to think what he's saying.
Yeah, which we're assuming he's davening like a mensch, and he's thinking anyway. Okay, let's see. This is a very big kasha here because we know that there's a chiv of the hagisa b'yoyim and v'layla, so we're gonna have to deal with some issues. So let's have a look first at the Ran. It doesn't mean literally a neder. Of course, it's a shvuah comment. That's ugret, right? Because you're not making something usher. He said b'shvuah, eshna perek zeh. Sharei neder, kiven shu mutzer chevsa nafshi, lesa la'olam be'esa. It's impossible to have a neder to do something. Alavad shvuah comment. This is the Ran that Rabbi Kiveger was mitzayin right at the beginning of the Masechta when he asked of Hashem Yar Einei Kasha of how could a neder be. The Gemara says a neder is sha'oichel or shaloichel. So he asked from this Ran here that there's no such thing as a neder on an action to be mechayiv to do an action. Like we find in many places, the karila the shvu neder. Often the Gemara refers to a shvu as a neder and vice versa. Keditnan kenidrei rishoyim alai nadar benazar u'v'korban v'shvu. Someone came to Rabasi. What was your neder? And that was also a shvu there. So you have a kasha in shvu chal shvu lekarbon. The mida amrit neder gadol mashma lechaldine shvu. So now the Ram's telling us why is it a bigger kasha here? Because in the first shot, we could have said that it's a neder only for the Bal Yachil, but not for the carbon. But since Rav Gidel said neder godel nodar, that means it's a shavua with a full force and all the halachas of shavua. Mashma l'chol dine shavua. Yika mashma malan lozrir na'avshi shari. If that's all Rav Gidel was trying to teach us, mishum hachikamer neder godel nodar, kloimer neder meshubach chuzeh. So neder godel can be fatach that it's a full neder with all the halachas, including the carbon, or neder godel can mean it's a good thing to do. So if you want to say it's a good thing to do, but Roy Lasses came in Hani to Rav Gidel Kamaisa. Elamai pshat in Rav Gidel must be that it's chal even with a carbon. That doesn't stem. Zok the Gemara.
I think you repeat the first line around why it must be it's a shvir. It says
It's a shvur comment. The Kahamar V'Edger is shvua eshna perzah. He said with the shvua that ichalein and they per. Shrei neder is given to mitzvah chevta nafshe. What is a neder? You're asking a chevetz onto yourself. Lesel oilam be'eser. You can never make a neder epistatin. A neder is only to answer yourself from something. That's got to go on. Lahar like God is referring to shul.
The same as the first one I thought.
I did or I.
That's talking about a shul. That's talking about a shul over there.
Promise I ate or I didn't eat.
Or I will. Correct.
And
Or I will. That's a shvur.
That's a shvur.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see the Ran weiter. Mistaver Li. Hakamash Loni boy Patanamshi. Mistaver Li. This is a very important Ran. This is one of the main Rans to remember. If you highlight, this is the one to highlight. The Lav Davka, the Bahaki Mifter. Avada, you can't say that you're part from Talmud Torah merely by saying Krishma. Sherichayiv kol adam nilmay tamid yoim v'layla kavi koichay. Everybody's mechuyev to learn every second that he has. From even ber kamid kedushin, and we learned in the first parak of kedushin. Tana rabbanon vishinantam. You very Torah mechudadim beficha. You have to have such clarity in the Torah. She mishalcha adam davar shaloy tizgangem v'torah b'say my life. Somebody asks you a question, you shouldn't have to and stutter. You should be able to rattle off the answer right off the tip of your tongue. That's the level of clarity that we need, and therefore we need to learn Yom V'Layla. The Krishma Shachas V'Arvis Le'Sagi Lachi surely wouldn't be enough to create Mechudodim B'Ficha. Ela Mikan Nir Liraya Zoktiran from Iraya V'Raya L'Masha Kasavti B'Perk Shvuah Shtayim Basra, and that is Avada. There's a Chiyuv Talmud Torah. This is a massive Chiddush Duran saying Avada. There's a Chiyuv Kom Torah Yom V'Layla. How could your Shvuah be Chal on that? There's a Chiyuv. Zoktiran. The Chiddush here is the Chalmidi, the Asami Drasha. Aval Pishu Mina Torah. We know you have to learn Yom V'Layla, but that we only learn it out of a drasha from the Shinamtan. But it doesn't say beferish that you have to learn Yom V'Layla. Kivon the lesson mefurish b'kra behedya, since it's not mefurish in the pasuk, Shavua Chalala. So this is a huge Chiddush. It'll be Chal even the Gabi a carbon. Shavua would be Chal on it even the Gabi a carbon. Even though it's deraisa, a shvu will be chal on it if it's not a halacha that's mefurish in the Torah. V'hacha hachi karmina, and this is what the Gemara is saying over here. Even the boy pater nafshe mimay dichsiv b'kra behedya, since he could have been yoytze the chiyuv that's mefurish in the Torah. Dahanu b'shach b'chol b'kumecha b'kri shma shachas v'arvis mishum hachi chal shvu alei lagamri afilu l'karban. It'll even be mekayim karban. So another gadol means. Not that it's a good thing to do. That Rabbi Gidl said earlier. Gidl saying over here is that any chiv, even if it's a deraisa, a shvuah will be chal on it, even to be mechayiv your carbon, if it's not more force in the Torah. Behind the kamar neder gadol, kloimer lechol dino, kedavar harishus. It's a full blown shvuah with all of the halachas of a shvuah. Ukvar kasavti zasham v'rayis kemuris b'siyata d'shmaya. So this is a morid chiddush of the Rav. It's not mefurish. It's a drasha. So there's a big machlokes. There's a big machlokes of the achronim, and I don't remember the two achronim who have this machlokes. The halach is we have to learn every second. Does that mean not allowed to make parnasa? Does that mean you're not allowed to take care of your children? Does that mean you're not allowed to help at home? About not. So there's a shaila. What is the halach? Shad is pshat you're muchliv to learn every single moment of every single day. But these other things are mitzvahs, and therefore ha'oisik mitzvah, patimina mitzvah, or could be the chiyuv of Talmud Torah doesn't exist when you have other things that you have to do. The chiyuv is only to learn when you don't have any other responsibilities that you have to do. So I'm not sure what the nafkamina la'aloch is, if it goes b'torachs ha'oisik mitzvah, patimina mitzvah, or not. But there is a shaila about whether betzim is a mitzvah. Okay, so now we have another very interesting halacha. So, Bam Shel Chiddush number 1 is that it's good to make a neder l'kaimus a mitzvah, and that only gives you malchus. But if it's a mitzvah that's not mefurish in the Torah, it will even have a chiyuv shua. We also learn from the ground. Don't make any mistakes in this Gemara. The chiyuv Talmud Torah is yoimim v'layla. Amar Rav Gidl. You know, there was a shotgun that was writing a shidduch tabacher who wasn't such a good bacher. He didn't learn so much. So he tells the father of the girl, the bucher is a große Talmud Torah, childig, adat Talmud Torah verein and nichts tun der Welt. Bantug Arbe sei von ihm in der Lebenschen Sache. Aber bei Nacht lernt Joim Beleido. Sagt ich mal weiter. Amar Rav Gidl. Rav Gidl said,
my uncle Berish used to say about that kind of a bacher, I learned unashir. You know, he never saw him in a shir. Yeah.
Another guy, help him learn. The book help him learning. Help him learn. He didn't open the Gemara yet, but help him learning. I think you have a girl on the market, you have to know all these code words. You know, if they tell you the guy is the most chashuv bacher and the biggest matvid that ever walked the face of the earth, then you could be sure that he's Shema Shabbos. Amar Gidel Amarav, Amar Lechaveroi, Nashkim v'Nishna Periksa. You know what? Let's get up tomorrow morning. Let's learn halacha tomorrow morning at 10 to 6. Right? The halacha is all of the hashkim. The person who suggested it, he has to be there first. He has to be there first because he created another, and you know that from a pasuk. Nedarm says in Yecheskel, "Vayomer Eli," the Navi said that the Malach told me, "Kum tzei ala bika, come to the valley. V'shama daber oischa, there I'll speak to you. The Eitel bika, and the Navis went to the bika. and Hashem was there first. Hashem was there already. So the word is, if you initiate a nice thing, it's incumbent on you to make it happen and to be there first. Let's see the Heilige Ran.
No.
I'm not sure about that. All of the Hashkim, how would someone say no to such a beautiful suggestion? Come and learn. All of the Hashkim, Mistaver Li, the Hachika Omar. This is what the Gemara means to say. Kivin Shamar Nashkim, once he says Nashkim, Hare Kibel Allah, Sheyehu Ma'ir V'Dover. He was makabel that he will instigate this mice atoy. Kashem Shuma Ma'ir Ma'achshav. Just like now I'm bringing up the idea, I'm committing to wake you up and to get you into it and to be there. There's actually two chedushim that we're having over here. Chado did the Kabbalah ba'omal advar mitzvah mahanya. You don't have to have a lashon shua. Just saying, let's go do it. That in and of itself constitutes a Kabbalah. The Ma'adamin hacha lo hisker lo neder v'lo shvua. He just suggested it. There's no lashon neder. Afilu hachi b'dibura ba'al masagi. Merely by accepting it upon yourself, that's enough to oblige you to do that. Dumya de Ma'adamin the Kabbalah b'lachud mahanya l'tzedakah k'dichsev b'ficha zu tzedakah v'adin l'chol var mitzvah. The Kamash Lanami, the Olam Lahashkim, Kidavad Kudish Barichu, that it's also incumbent on him to initiate it and to do it. The Shiloh will do what will be with the Kabbalah believe. Okay, so let's see the Gemara weiter.
Why? Because Hashem said to the Nubi.
Hashem said, "Look, I'm going to meet you out there," and Hashem was there. He was there first. He was waiting. So the person who brings it up, he's got to deliver. Yeah. Okay, so Zok the Gemara weiter. Amar Rabbi Yosef, what happens if Nidu b'chaloim? A guy had a dream, and in the dream, someone put him into cherem. So the halacha is Tzarech Yud b'nei Adam lahater loy. He needs 10 people to be mater the neder. Why does he need 10 people to be mater the neder? Zok the Ran, because we're choshid that it was from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Look at the Ran. Nidu b'chaloim Tzarech Asar b'nei Adam lahater loy l'disha efsher shebeshlichus hamokim nisnada. Could be in his dream, whoever put him into cherem came with the shlichus of the Rebbeinu Shalom. Therefore, he'll need 10 to be matter the neder. You know why? If the shechina put him into cherem, he needs the shechina to take him out of cherem.
Then he saw that
Somebody, but maybe that person was doing it, the shlichus from the Rebbeinu Shalom. Moshe Pippin put him into cherem. Put himself into cherem, yeah. So Zok the Gemara. Who the Tani Hilchasa. Now you can't just take any 10 people. You need people the Tani Hilchasa. That either it means they teach halacha, they're marbite Torah, or it could mean other Rishonim will learn. It means that they learned Gemara, not just the Mishnah. Avol masnu v'loy tanu. If they just learned but they didn't teach, or according to the other Pshat, they just learned the Mishnah, not the Gemara. Loy. The leka the Tani Hilchasa. What if you can't find? Afilu masnu v'loitanu. Then you could even take somebody who learned but didn't teach. The lekon, if you can't even find that, let me just finish. We'll see the one. Lezel, what should you do? Lezel v'leisav aprashas terachim. Sit by the prashas terachim where people are going back and forth the whole day. V'yav shalma v'yud, and keep on giving shalom aleichem to people, because through those brachas of shalom aleichem, even though you still have the cherem on you, but it's gonna sustain you until you're able to find Adam Ekloile Asara the Gamri Hilchasa. Now let's see the Rab. Zok the Heilige Rab. Nida b'chaloim we did.
Yosh, yes, is not the tune. The masman and he says Shishonim Lachayim. You must have a good sheep.
You must
have a good sheep. Shishonim Lachayim, not the tune.
Who the masman lachayim the masman lacher. Aval tanu b'lachud loy. So the Ran is agreeing with the Rosh that you have to teach others, but he also masnu means lachem, avatanu b'chod loy, the lechashivi kulahai. The Ika de Garsi, the Tanahil has a claimer Gemara. So those are the two pshatim that the Ran brings down. Aval masnu claimer mishnah b'chod loy, you need someone to learn Gemara, but not necessarily taught. V'yav shamal ve'asar, u'metoich sheyeshivu loy shalom, yaginu olav ben ha'yisurim. They'll be making from Yisurim, Adam Miklin le'asara. I remember hearing a Chassidish Shemais, I'm sure that Chaim will be able to clarify it. that there was a Yid who the Rebbe sent him somewhere because he needed a Yeshua, and he went to Akhetchim on the way, and there was Yidden sitting there, and they made a L'chaim. And he had a Yeshua just because of the people there who wished him a L'chaim. So you see, when you're wishing people L'chaim and you're saying Shalom to people, that in and of itself is a tremendous Siyata D'Shmaya for you, because Yidden are vinching you on, and that's a huge bracha. I guess so. He's not in a good place, so he needs protection. Okay, Zog to Gemara Vayt. He dreamt that he was a Ram. That's right. So dreams count. Zog to Gemara Vayter. Amar Rabbeinu Rabashi. Yoda man shamte. What happens if you know the person who put you in the Cherem? You dreamt that Chayesh Rabbi Loi put you in the Cherem. So could you just ask Rabbi Loi, Mal Delishula, can you just ask Rabbi Loi to be matter the Cherem? Amar Lei, L'shamute, Shav Yishliach. Maybe a Kadosh Baruch Hu made him a Shliach to put you in the Cherem. L'mishri le Shav Yishliach. So you can't rely on him. You still need the 10 people because you need the Hataras HaCherem to be with the presence of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Amalei Rabacha LeRabashi. Shamte, what if he had a dream, and in the dream someone put him into Cherem, and Vishari Lebechalmen, and in the same dream the person was matter the Cherem. So is he good to go? My Amalei no. Shame she Efshir Lebar Beloy Teven. Since whenever you have a bag of grain, there'll always be some straw mixed into it. It's never perfect. It's never perfectly strained out. Kaki Efshir Lechaloi Bedoy Dvarim B'Telem. And maybe not the Dvarim B'Telem was the Cherem, but maybe the Hataras Cherem, that was the Dvarim B'Telem. And therefore you need 10 people. Zok Ran, Tzorchin B'Mishin Adu B'Chaloimoy Im Tzorch Linog B'Chol Dinei Menuda. Does he have to fear like a regular person who's a Cherem? Mustaverly, De'avagav Darmin Hacha the Mishin Adu B'Chaloimoy Tzorch Heter Ein Lilmoid Mikan. Don't learn from here. What if you made a neder in your dream? You made a neder in your dream. I'm not eating potato chips anymore. Don't worry about it. You shouldn't bring a rye for me. You need to be matter. A neder you can't take from the shemayim. A story happened in such a case, and he required him to be martyred. So there's all these shilas over here with how much credibility you have to give to dreams. So there's a couple of stories I want to share, but first we have to finish the daf. I'm just going to tell you an interesting story about somebody went to the stipler. Somebody went to his Rebbe on Purim and asked his Rebbe on Purim a pasha takasha. I don't understand. That the part of the dream that was fake was the heter. Maybe the part of the dream that was fake was the cherem. So his Rebbe answered, Al Sovik Daraisa L'Chumra, Isser Nedarm is Shamta is the Daraisa. So therefore you have to go L'Chumra. So when they told us over to the stipler says, your Rebbe must have been chicker. Because think about it. If the chelik of the dream that he made in nether was nonsense, right? Then the heter is also nonsense. Because you can't have a dream that you were matter another if there was no dream that there was another in the first place. So it's impossible that you had a dream. It's impossible that you had a dream that they were only matter the cherem.
That would make both.
Right, that would make both of them big. So he says, "Vayis your Rebbe was drunk because on Purim he was drunk when he answered you." Okay, talk to more about it. There's some very interesting stories that I want to share with you about Gedolei Olam, that because of dreams that they had, they were chayzer. They were chayzer on Piskei Halacha that they made. So, but I want to finish the Gemara first. So, Zok Tehillah Gemara. Ravina Havela Nidra Ledvisu. Ravina's wife had made a neder. Atula Kamei Ravashi. He came to Ravashi, and Amalei, he asked Ravashi the following question. Now, for some reason, he couldn't be made for the neder. Probably it wasn't Nidre Inu Nefesh that a husband could normally be made for. So he wanted to be shoyl on the neder on behalf of his wife. Can he go to the Rav to ask for a heter?
She says he wasn't nice.
That could be the reason as well. So let's see what the Ran says. Rambam's al soiver perek vav milchus shvus the dafke b'bal hu di boyelon. The whole shaila is by a bal. If they shall bal keishtay. Abul adam acher pshitalon she'einin asa shliach. For sure, a stranger couldn't do it. There are those Rishonim who argue. The Rambam holds that the shaila is by a bal because al tishtek guba maybe he can do it, but a stranger for sure not. There are those who argue and say a bal maybe should be worse because he's more in a game of over. He might up the intensity of the charata. But a regular shliach will be more objective in how he reports it. So the tzarich shea noider b'fnei hamatir. The noider has to be in front of the matir. V'halchim mucha b'yishalmi b'perek nayim uraso d'kashin and hasam ma'al lahater al deturgamon and the shminim in adah Rabbi Abba bar Zutra is avit metagamina Rabbi Yochanan b'adah itzot l'chama l'mashma shushitin. So he had to have a meturgamon. Midaboy imatir al deturgamon mechalal de pshita loy al de shlich ein matir. The shaila was if they could even have an interpreter. But if they had a shaila about an interpreter, if even an interpreter is allowed, surely a shliach wouldn't be allowed. So that's how the Rambam brings such a raya. But not everybody holds like this. Okay. Zok the Gemara, what was the psak? What was Rashi answer? Amal im michnafin in. If anyway there's a bezdin sitting there and you're not going through the effort and trouble of bringing together a bezdin, yes, you could be shoyal on behalf of your wife. But loy. But if not, then you cannot. And the svara is Zoktiran, the Maskinon. Dafilu Babal, Imichnafin in, Eloy Michnafin Loy. You know why? Dafagab Dishak Gufoy, Loy Kilu Gabe Baal. They weren't makel to allow the husband to represent his wife. Eleicha the Michnafi. Only if they're sitting there anyway. The Lichnafi Lechatchila Gabe, that he should go schlep the bezin together, Loy. You know why? Even the Mischav, the Milsa. She had Noider Atzma Sham. It's better that the Noider should be there. Sit there anyway, and he's there, he could be Moitzer. But if not, then you shouldn't convene a bezin unless she herself is there. The Ram brings on Toysus who has the opposite opinion. I'm sorry, because really the person should be there themselves, right? So we don't want it to be done through a shliach, right? The Rambam Shita is that the shayla is not ishikaguba, maybe there you could allow it, even though it's not there.
Criteria to decide whether or not he could go. Whether the bezin is already sitting.
Look, if the bezin is sitting there anyway, and he's there, so let's just do it. But to bring the bezin together, if you have to bring a bezin together, bring her in. It's an opportune. She asked me structurally, halachically, how could that? If it can't, if the Maisa he's not kagufoy enough to be matter another, so then no matter what the situation is, it shouldn't be allowed. So the Vice is a little iffy. But Toysus had the opposite approach. Toysus bishop from Adarabba, Gabi Inish the Alma Pshitlon Shiyochalas Shliach. Because for sure he'll be objective. The Gabi Baal Davka who the boyelon. Mishum the Chashina and Shema Mitoich Shenidr Ishtay Koshnalov, since it impacts him, he's in a Gebedover, Yosef Midaita B'Charatosa. He'll enhance her charata. Umaskina on the Michnaf and the Loy behind the timer, what's the difference if there's bezin or not? The Chimichnafi Veles Letercha B'Milsa, if he didn't work so hard to get this heter, he's not so bought into it. And he won't exaggerate her charata like Chishinan Doma Maisabu a charata diva. But if he has to go through the whole effort of bringing a bezin together, so now keeping the Ketarta, there's two factors here that will cloud his expression. A is he has a problem with his wife's Nedarm. He works hard to do this. He wants this to work. He's too heavily invested. Chashinan Yerchaishish that he would exaggerate the cause. But if it was a total stranger being a shliach, since it's not personal, you're actually allowed to send a shilas neder in a letter. Even if the neder was not aware, because the Chacham knows that the Noider is Mischart. The Torah's Chacham, Harei Kafaris Baal. The Torah's Chacham works like a Kafaris Baal, and we know how Kafaris Baal works even if the wife doesn't know. We learn from the pasuk Isha Aferim V'Hashem Yislach Lo. Why would Hashem need to forgive her if her husband was already made for another? She made Naziris, and her husband was made for it, but she didn't know that he was made for it, and she was over. So that she was over in the years thinking it was chal. Really, it wasn't chal. Even that needs a slicha. But akalponim. So that means through Zoom, you should also be able to show another.
Send in a check and then you go.
Oh, come on there. Okay, so to Gemara. Shmamina class. So you see them there are three things. Shmamina Baal Nasa Shliach L'Charata Sistoi. You see a Baal could be a Shliach for his wife's Charata. Ushmamina Loi Shari LaMishner Nidra Ba'asa de Rabbi. You also see why Rav Ashi was a Talmud Chacham. Why? I'm sorry, Ravina was a Talmud Chacham. Why did he need to go to Rav Ashi? You see, it's not appropriate for him to be matter and other in the city that his Rebbe is there, Rav Ashi. Ushmamina Kimichlefin. You see, if Bezdin's gathered anyway, Shaper Dami. Then he could be shoy on the matter. Vishamta, but when it comes to a cherem, afilu ba'asra the rabbi. Even if you're in the city of your Rebbe, you're still allowed to be mater a cherem, because cherem, we don't want people to be in the cherem. In cherem. Shmami no loyali in the mission nida bas the rabbi loyali means any near. Kloimar shem loyken ravina atzmai. If it would be allowed, Ravina didn't need to go to Rav Ashi, he could be matter his wife's nether. Then time of Matzi Aberachi. But I'm saying Nedarm called the goyim. Adam Chutz Miniga Atmai. Reb Meir Aimer Afloy Nigi Kroiva. Call Nedarm Adamata Chutz Miniga Atmai. Bidam Afloy Nigi Ishtoi. Shebein Allah ben Acherim. Umuchvi Shamid Allah Rabuda. So how is it possible that the Gemara is suggesting here that he would have been matter his wife's nether if it wasn't for the fact that there's a Rebbe there? He didn't have to do it by himself. He could have got other people together. He didn't need to go to a best. Okay, let's skip. I'm sorry? That's right. That's right. The Shamta Afilu Ba'asha the Rabbi, the Yachid Mumcha, Shari Shamta. Hani, love my high Ubdanakla. This next set of halachas that you could be Matar Acherim has nothing to do with the story. The Gemara is just sharing with us additional halachas. The Gemara is telling us that when it comes to a cherem, we do let him. The shari shamta, this yachid mumcha that the Gemara says could be mater a cherem. Ikamandamer dafka samach dafka via smicha. V'loy here the Ran says he doesn't need to have smicha. Elakol shu chacham muvik ubaki behilchas nedarim. If he's a Talmud chacham and he knows hilchas nedarim, af al pi she'enay samach. Even though he doesn't have smicha, shari nidra. Vishamta. The gabe atarish nedarim like cause of the pasha elokim the mashma smuchim or we him referring to a bezdin elo rashi matos, right? The pasuk starts daber rashi matos, meaning anyone any Talmud chacham. V'ayna darmina b'yishalmi amar l'Rabban Rav Huna shari nidra b'yachad amar Rav Huna roish l'rashi matos. So you see, and Rav Huna lav samuchava. Rav Huna was mater neder, even though he did not have smicha. So it means more rayas. I'm sorry? As I state, yeah. It can't mean that because the nowadays the time of the Rishon, nobody would be able to. Yeah, and so I think could be it doesn't necessarily mean. It could be right. If the Ram is clearing, if you need smicha, it must have been the smicha that was available at the time of the Ram, which is not smicha from Moshe Rabbeinu. Right, but Rav Huna not. But what about all the other Rabbunim in those days? So it must be that the Kash only Rav Huna because Rav Huna didn't have smicha. Amar Shimon bar Shveit, Amar Bitzuk bar Tavla, Amar B'chia Aricha, Devei Rab Acha, Amar B'Zeir, Amar B'Lezer, Amar B'Chanina, Amar B'Yashma, Mishmeid Rav Yehuda bar Eloi. This is like getting a long email chain. So we have the whole yichus. I want to. I know. I want to say it again because they're all here. All of them. So let's do it again. Amar B'Shem B'Zveid, Amar B'Tuk B'Tavla, Amar Rabchia Aricha, Devei Rabach, Amar B'Zeira, Amar B'Lazar, Amar B'Chanina, Amar B'Yashim, Mishmeid Rav Yehuda bar Eloi. Ma'idachsid. It says in the pasuk, V'Zorcha Lachem Yirei Shemi. It's going to shine for you and heal you those who have. Yirei Shemayim. What is that referring to? Elu b'nei Adam shein yirein lahoitzi shem Shemayim l'batala. These are people who are afraid to be moitzi shem Shemayim l'batala. And what does the pasuk continue to say? Shemesh tzedakah u'mirpei. The son of tzedakah will make people good and healthy. Amar by Shemamina. You see a mirror that Chaga the Yoima Masi, the son of the day, is helpful. It heals. Rav Shimon ben Lakish says there's not going to be any Gehenim l'olam haba. Allah Kadosh Baruch Hu moitzi chama min artika. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will take the sun out of its cover. Tzadikim is ba. The tzadikim will have a refuah. Rishayim nidanim ba. So you have a Rav Amir that the sun isn't automatically a refuah. It depends on who you are. It's like they say in Olam Haba, it's going to be one big besmedrash from sitting and learning. So for the Hamoinam, it'll be, for the Talmid Chacham, it'll be Geshmak. But for the people who don't enjoy it, it's going to be Gehenim. Shenemar, it says in the pasuk, "V'zarcha lachem yirei shemi shemes tzedakah v'lo yoid ela shemes adnim ba." They enjoy it, like pleasure for them. Shenemar, v'yitzasem u'pishtam kegli marbeg. The Rishayim nidanim ba, but the Rishayim will get punished with it. Shenemar hi niyayim ba boyer kataner. They're going to get sunburned. We're going to have
Want to have the air conditioning will work?
Okay, so let's see. So I'll be busy with Bez Hashem. Okay, let's see what the Gemara says. With any Gehenim. Oh no, Hadain Charga. Is this where we're up to? Yeah, we're up to here. Hadain Charga the Yoma Masi Evan Avak Hanira Bechama. You know, when you look in the sun, you see little dust particles in the rays. Kishinechnes there chaloin. When the sun rays come through the window, you see dust in there. That's helpful. That's very healthy. En Gehenim lost lavai lav la'achar misa kamar. It's not referring to la'achar misa. The vada ika Gehenim l'rishayim. Avada la'achar misa is Gehenim l'rishayim. And lost lavai, we're talking about lost lavai la'achat chis hamesim kamar. Shoyshen rishayim. Shiyu l'cherpois. The diroy noilam. The rishayim that are going to suffer forever. The chsib b'deniyel. It says in the Neil that the rishayim are going to suffer forever. Lo yu nidoinim b'Gehenim. They're not going to need it in Gehenim. Ela b'hai dina. They're going to all be subject to the same treatment. It's just how they react to it. Shakadosh Baruch Hu yotzi chama min atika kedei shiu elu mitztarin. The Rishoyim are going to have tsar from that. The sheyisrabu b'tzadikim, but tzadikim are going to have a refuah from it. B'chanami muchuch b'hedyu b'perkamida b'jizara the la'achat chisamesim cover. It's speaking la'achat chisamesim. What a beautiful thing. I'm sorry.
What about the
The Beinim are for sure going to enjoy. So there was okay. So we'll stop here, and I'll just over. There was a certain type of fish. There was a certain type of fish that there was a shaila about it, if it was mutter to eat or not. And I think there's a Radvaz. One of the Rishonim was matter to eat the fish, and there was others who held it was osir. And he had a dream. He had a dream one night after he paskined that it was mutter to eat that fish, that he was a waiter in a restaurant and he was serving people shkotzim with a mushroom. And it freaked him out that when he woke up, he reevaluated the psak and he paskined lesser. And he writes in his tshuva, it's in one of the tshuvas of the Rishonim, I forget which tshuva it is in, but he writes in tshuva all the reasons la'esar. He said, even though once upon a time I was matir. That was one mindset where because of a dream he changed his psak, but avada he didn't pass on the dream. The dream shook him to learn it. And there was another case also when it came to his dream and they told him that his psak was wrong, but I forgot what the case was.
Ich kann kommen, Mike da, der Markt da, und dann schnell, einen kommen mit drauf zurück, besser, das habe ich gesehen, das ist dabei, das besser schieben. Und jetzt gewiss, dass der so lange ist, ich verwusst, dann haben wir dich nicht, kennt allein, kann man sagen,
I thought that was something. That was an option.
wusste der letzte, Mama